Welcome back to Ordinary to Badass. Today we're going to do the Badass Debrief, and confidence isn't a feeling, it's a file. And in these Badass Debrief episodes, we don't just listen to powerful conversations. We extract the moves that actually matter, that actually change the trajectory of your career. We want to know what actually moves the needle from the last episode. So last week you heard my conversation with Traci Austin. Traci is a leadership strategist, HR expert, and she's someone who has spent decades inside organizations and figured out what has actually got people promoted. And she saw who quietly talks themselves out of the room. And if you walked away from that episode thinking, okay, this is inspiring, but what next? What do I do next? Good, because that is exactly what this episode is for. Because here is the truth that nobody says out loud. Confidence doesn't show up before opportunity. It shows up after evidence. So let's talk about that.
Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome back to Ordinary to Badass, the podcast where women in predominantly male industries learn to rise, lead, and own their power without apology. Welcome back to Ordinary to Badass, the podcast where women in predominantly male industries learn to rise, lead, and own their power without apology. Okay, don't get it twisted. That's just a title of this segment that I just created. So go with me here. So Traci said something subtle, and it could be dangerous if it's misunderstood. She talked about building confidence through daily wins and allowing yourself to want more. And I can already see how it's so easy to get it twisted, to think I need to be more confident before I go for it. Nope, not the case. So that's not what she meant. And I think that belief is keeping women stuck. Here's what Traci was really saying. Confidence, it's not a personality trait. It's not something that you either have or you don't have. Confidence is memory. It's your brain saying, I've been here before. I've done this. I know how this goes. I have proof. And you know what? That's exactly why Traci writes her wins down. This is so important. That's why I created the Proof of My Badassery Guided Journal. It's so important to write your wins down. If you don't write them down, you forget them. And that's why Traci talked about receiving feedback instead of deflecting it. And Traci, she also encourages leaders to walk through facts, not feelings, when you want to evaluate your readiness. Because it's so easy to let our feelings take control and to feel like we're not good enough, we're not ready enough, but we're not really looking at the facts. Because let me tell you this, your brain, it's a liar, especially when you're under pressure. It tends to forget what you've done, and then it absolutely magnifies what you haven't done. And this really stuck out to me when I was reading, come to me, it'll come to me, bear with me. This really stuck out to me when I was reading in Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, because she was like, I would feel like I wasn't ready. And I absolutely was, but she couldn't see it for herself. And you see Sheryl Sandberg, and she's like, I don't remember, like the CEO of Facebook, or she was somewhere high up in Facebook. I don't think the CEO, but she was really high up in Facebook. But like she doubted herself and her abilities. And you look at her from the outside, you look at her where she is now, even where she was when she wrote the book, and you're like, oh, well, she's a badass. She has it. I don't. But she doubted herself. We all doubt ourselves. We just don't see the behind the scenes of other people. We see the glam that's on social media. So here's the real risk. Here's the part that I want you to sit with. Most women think, what if I go for it and I fail? But the real risk is that you let other people define your readiness because you never documented your own. You didn't document your wins. So when the opportunity shows up, you hesitate. You overqualify. You wait to be chosen. Wait for somebody to suggest that you go for that promotion. You just hope that someone notices. And meanwhile, someone with half of the awareness and twice the confidence is already in the room. Or we just throw something at the wall and go for it last minute and then wonder why we didn't get it. It takes preparation, it takes time. Same with this confidence thing. For many of us, it takes time. It's something that's built over time. But we have to have the evidence written down so that we can remember it on the hard days. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Remember, confidence isn't self-talk. It's self-trust that's built through the receipts, built from the evidence, all of the stuff that you have collected over time to show what a badass you are. And you know what? Traci, she modeled this beautifully when she walked through facts versus feeling. She talked about impact on the organization, impact on others, and the impact if you don't step forward. That is executive level thinking. That is experience talking. If you feel hesitant, it's not because you're unqualified. It's because you're actually thinking at a higher level. A lot of times, awareness feels like doubt before it feels like leadership. Okay, here's how I want you to operationalize this. And I think this is important because I don't want you to just nod along. I want you to take this and to actually implement it, to apply it in your life, to apply it at work. It only works if you apply it. Information is great, but you have to actually take the next step, take action, and apply it. Okay, let's talk about the badass evidence loop. First, I want you to capture wins. Do this daily, weekly, monthly, but make sure you're capturing them. And and I suggest having one place to put it because for me, it's easy like, oh, I'll write it in this journal, I'll write it in that journal, and then it gets lost. So like have a file in the notes app on your phone, have it in the desktop on your work computer, and then you just have a file, and every time you get an email with a compliment or somebody says something with a compliment, you put it there. You can even have a Word doc. So if somebody just verbally told you, you type it in the Word doc so that you will remember it later because our brain is fleeting. When we're under pressure, when we're stressed out, we're not going to remember all those things, but it's good to have something to go back to when we're not feeling good about ourselves, when we're not feeling confident, or when we're about to go for a promotion and we want to remind ourselves of all these badass things that we've done. So capture them. Number two is receive. Receive feedback without deflecting. This is so important. Own your shit. No, if people are giving you feedback, try to absorb it. Now, if it's one of those negative a-holes that's just only wants to talk about negativity, disregard that. But if it's actual feedback and somebody is trying to be helpful, receive that. If somebody is giving you a compliment, receive that. Say thank you. That is it. Thank you. Number three, store proof. And you keep this proof in one place. Have your brag file, like I said, put it on your desktop, have it in one place so that you don't lose it. Number four, review it before high stakes moments or when you're feeling down. Number five, speak from facts, not feelings. So, quick recap: one, capture wins; two, receive feedback; three, store proof in one place; four, review it before high stakes conversations or when you need a boost in confidence; five, speak from facts. This is how quiet leaders build authority without having to become louder. This week, I want you to do one thing. I want you to start a badass brag file. Not for ego, but for accuracy. So you can see what impact you're actually having. Here are the types of things that you can put in the brag file. Emails that are praising your work. Evaluations. Results that you've created. Problems that you've solved. Moments where you showed up, even when it was uncomfortable. So the next time your brain asks you, who am I to do this? Who am I to go for this promotion? You already have the answers. Okay, and if you're thinking, yeah, but I freeze when I actually have to say this stuff aloud. I don't know what to say. Cool, I got you. You can grab my tough conversation scripts, which I created so you have the words to say during the hard moments and for conversations that really matter. Not to make you more aggressive, not to make you loud, but to help you advocate without rambling, to speak clearly without apologizing. and so that you can walk into conversations feeling prepared and not panicked. If you want them, you can just head on over to Instagram, DM me, say scripts, and I will send them to you. Or you can head to stan.store/badass or stan/store/ordinary to badass. Grab the scripts. There's several different ones you can grab. See what works for you. These are absolutely going to help you go for that promotion. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't need more confidence. You need better evidence. And once you start collecting it, you stop waiting to be chosen and you start walking in like you belong because you absolutely freaking do. And remember, keep showing up, keep speaking up, and never ever shrink for a seat at the table because you were born to build it. And with that, we'll end our show. Tell the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.